Well, it's 9 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't know if everybody's had a chance to go over the minutes for the 25th and of July and August 16th.
Did I send those out for 25th?
I don't know if I got the 25th, I got the other one.
They're really short.
August 16th.
Yeah, and
That's all I got.
I don't remember, I guess I didn't look at the date, but I only got one set, I think.
That's all I got.
Everybody's had the August 16th. If everybody gone over that, I'll take a motion to approve those.
I'll make the motion to approve the 25th,
26th, you mean 16th August. You don't have the
early
20th.
16th.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor to approve the August 16th. I need a second. Okay, got a second. Any more discussion? Hear none, all in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Let me see that. That one's wrong.
I moved for approval on the 25th.
Okay, got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Hear none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Okay, claims list. Has everybody had a chance to go over
I had
that?
one question, Becky, I think it's on the sheriff's, it says for Valley Telecommunications, I'm guessing that should be for Valley Motors. For windshield repair.
Oh, yeah, that definitely should be. Right. We just gotta
Other than
change
that, I
the
move
vendor.
for approval.
We got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Hear none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. I think everybody knows, everybody in the room here. I got a couple things. I know sometimes there's a little, people are back talking a little bit, and I would just assume whoever's sitting in the back not be talking. If you wanna talk, then I'd just assume you go out of the room. And the same thing with cell phones. I don't think that we need to have a cell phone going off if you, whatever, do the vibrate or something on it. I've talked to a few commissioners about it. No sense interrupting a meeting like that, so. All right, we'll go to number 6. Discussion regarding lake access for George Turner.
Here,
That's,
Wait,
you know something about this?
Yeah, George stopped by and he told me he talked to everybody.
Talk to me.
Never talked to you, he talked to you, didn't you?
a while ago, he talked to me about.
He talked to me
Well,
too, so.
He talked to you, I know he did that. Well, anyway, that's what he told me, so I thought everybody would be up to date. But he gave me a letter here, and I'll just read it. To whom it may concern, I will soon be closing the privately maintained lake access road past my house, as it is in need of repair and some rebuilding. It seems there was some misunderstanding when the county approved the plat for this area submitted by Kenneth Gosh. Kenneth had included the end of County Road in the plat and left a strip between his lots for lake access. Kenneth claims he traded land with the county, and the county doesn't see it that way. Neither the county or Gosh claim this land. This transaction took place on June 30, 1999, according to record. So what he's saying is this, that Gosh in the plat donated this strip of land for access to a beach below George's property for public access. This road is recorded as a lake access road. The Game Fish and Parks maintain lake access roads. This one is not on their list. When I built my house in 2002, the county furnished me an approach and a culvert. When I asked about gravel later, they did not own it. So what he's saying is this land was donated to the county. It's a matter of record. I think you can verify that. And, but nobody claims it. The county doesn't claim it, is that true?
To my knowledge, that's correct.
And it's not that they didn't claim it, it's just when they platted it, he platted that road in there and the county didn't accept the platted road. That's how we get the claim problem, is what it is there, so.
Anyway, it's a roadway past his house, and it is not being maintained, needs work, and it is used frequently by fishermen and others. There's a beach down below, and it has a lot of ice fishermen use it for access. And he's gonna close it unless somebody, either Game Fish or Parks or the county assumes maintenance responsibilities. That's what this is all about.
I wonder, why would we even give them a culvert then if we're not gonna follow through with it?
When I was doing the research on it, because George called me, and originally there was a road that ran down there, and then when Gosh platted it, it got moved over, which created the problem is the plat moved the road over 100 feet or something like that. I don't know exactly how many. But then when you do that, the county had to accept that new road. And so basically, that's the dilemma there. When I was talking to George, because he suggested that, I said, George, that's your right to do that. Because basically now, he and his daughter, I believe, own the two houses on that property. So he would have that right. And I said, I don't know why the state would all of a sudden claim, because they were talking about putting some kind of access down there. And a lot of people do have access, but I think it comes back to money and who's going to want to take the maintenance of it.
Yes, Deb?
My question would be, that plot would have had to go through the zoning board and been approved, and then the plot also would have gone through the commission and been approved. So just by the commission approving the plot, did they not accept any public right of way? That was, because you do that with blocks and streets, once you approve that plot, and that's public access.
That's the whole argument, right there.
Yeah, so the plot was approved.
And I think it's been the county's contention throughout time is that we didn't accept that road that was replatted because it was in a different spot, so no one's ever done any maintenance on it. Why they put the culvert and the gravel in the beginning, I have no clue on that, but that's the dilemma that we're at, and that was George's issue. Because basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, when that runs out there, it runs to the riverside of the road on that intersection, and then that's where the county's responsibility ends, right, Penny?
Yes.
Yeah. As of right now. And then Turner's Road is a little bit more to the north, is that right? It doesn't go straight down, it's to the,
Kind of angles around.
yeah, it kind of angles off to the north and then down towards the river.
How far did anybody ever maintain it? Down to, isn't there kind of a fence down there?
Yeah, there's
Never
a
been
fence that can be closed off because they used to graze cattle in there.
I think it's fenced to what used to be called the core line, except now the Corps has turned some of that acreage over to, game fish and parks, and the Corps claims to what they call the high water mark, and that varies all along the river. And then State Game and Fish owns from the high water mark to the fence, and they maintain those areas as public. But Game Fish and Parks owns partly from the fence towards the river to whatever the Corps calls the high water mark.
And I don't know if there's a fence down on there or not.
I don't know.
I see a lot of vehicles drive down. Is there a fence down there that they have to open or not, or?
I don't
Okay.
think, I don't know if they always have to open it, I don't think they've been grazing it, but there's a fence, it's easily discernible as where it would cross that road.
Okay.
Well, his concern is that if he closes it, he's gonna get a lot of negative feedback.
I would think so.
And there's a lot of people that use that, it's a pretty good beach. They use it for, the fishermen use it for access. So, but he's looking for somebody to maintain it, either the game fish or parks or the county. And,
What needs to be done to it? I mean, does it need some gravel or something, or what does it really need, or what?
well, mostly maintenance, and I think gravel right now.
When he called me, that's what he was looking for, is somebody to blade it in gravel.
He
That's
thought
kind of what
the
my
road-
understanding was.
the road should be shaped to the crown so that it would run off.
And I think he wants, in the wintertime, to be able to have the county
Snow removal.
snow removal for.
I think you mentioned that too.
We're only talking. It's only about 100 yards or so.
I don't know how long that is for sure. I just don't.
Do you wanna see a copy of the plot?
I don't think we need to. I think everybody kind of knows. It's pretty familiar, unless someone wants to.
I'd like to see it.
It's a pretty short distance down there. It wouldn't take that much to do maintenance on it.
Well, I would assume what we would probably do is, if that's what you're contemplating, is we would have to accept that portion of the road into the county highway system. If that's what you're going to do.
I don't know if he can legally shut it off if it's a road open to the public, because I can't shut off the one from Swan Creek Road down to the bridge on the creek, because it's been open to the public. Through my private property, I cannot shut that off legally. I don't know if he can if it's been open to the public, from what I understand.
To me, it looks like we're gonna be doing the exact same thing if we would have them shut that road down, that we're going through right now with Malstead. After all this time, it's gonna get opened back up again after it looks terrible.
That's,
And I'm to
Possibility.
maintain that road that goes from the highway, well, it goes clear to the irrigation down there, you know where it is, Scott. That road, I can't shut the public off of that because it's been used by the public. Since they moved the bridge up there in 60, and it was used by the public before that when it crossed on down. That's through my private property, yeah.
What would be involved if the county did take that? Are you familiar with the road?
I haven't been down in a long time.
I've never been down, I know nothing about it.
Well, I feel if that's who should have been maintaining it, that's who should be maintaining it then.
But the county didn't take responsibility, they didn't accept it. So they
Well,
weren't the ones that were
I guess,
maintaining it.
I guess then I'm gonna say the same thing again, then why would they gave Culverton?
I have no idea, I was
Well,
not working for the
That's
county
what
at
I'm
the
saying,
time.
if they had to take some responsibility, if they gave somebody a culvert, then apparently they, in their mind, they had to take some responsibility, or why would he have done that? That's how I look at it.
Did the county build the approach or just give me a culvert?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't either.
More than likely, I'm sure I was there working down there, and hell, I could have probably even put it in, damned if I know, but I did all the work down there, so that's what I'm saying, is if the county accepted that responsibility to give that culvert, to me, that's telling me that they've got responsibility.
And that's kind of what George's argument is, that now he's kind of stuck in the middle.
From the last time I talked to him, I don't think you'd have a problem of keeping that road open as long as it was maintained.
Cause yeah, the county responsibility ends right now on the,
Riverview Road.
yep, at the end of that. So,
Well, if the county doesn't own it, and Game Fish and Parks doesn't own it, and it's between his two lots, who owns it?
George,
That's right, so why couldn't he turn it out?
Because it's been
That's-
open to the public is what they tell me.
I mean, it's been used as a public road
Yeah.
for so many years, and therefore it becomes a road?
Yeah, that's the question. It seems like maybe only the public has to use it once and it qualifies for that. From what I understand, we can't shut them off from this Swan Creek Road down, according to the irrigation really. Because it's been used by the public. And that's on private property too.
and that's kind of George's dilemma, I think, what his frustration was is that, well, they're telling me it's all this and that, but yet I'm the one that's gotta maintain responsibility for it. Isn't that kind of what you got from him?
Yeah. He's been maintaining it. And he's bought gravel, put it down. But I guess I'm at a loss to know, he uses about 100 feet of the road for access to his driveway. So that becomes a private road then.
That's what I told George, that I thought, because now he owns one portion, then his daughter now owns it, so basically it's all in the family where they would control it.
So then why does he worry about the other part of the road? If he's maintaining that part of his road.
Well, I think it's because Pat Burns and her husband used to live there next to him. They sold that house to George's family, and now he's like, well, why should I get stuck with doing the whole shooting match if it's a public access or down to the highway? I think that's kind of what I got from him when I said that, well, that's something you have to address if it's not
I'm gonna agree with Jimmy on
on the
this.
county system. I said, but you need to address it to the commission, because I can't make a decision for you.
Well, I would wager that more people will use that access road than will use Mostyn Park. There's no use
Probably
right
right.
there. There's nothing. Not only that, when the dam went out, kinda irritates me a little bit that the Game Fish and Parks in this state would be here saying that, that's an important recreational facility. But when they had a chance to fix that dam and save the fish, they did nothing. And then after it goes out and the silt washes down into the beach area, you can't walk in there. There's silt that deep off the shore, nothing but weeds. And they wanna turn that into fishing. Not gonna happen. You know, it's, particularly if you got the access to the north, so. I'm just saying that this is a more important project than Walstead, in my opinion. This is a good beach area, I'm told.
I know, I used to go down there a lot years ago, but,
You do see people down there quite a bit.
what's the rest of the commission feel? What do you think, Dave?
Well, I'm gonna see the plot first.
But if we are going to accept it, we need to do a resolution not accepting, but accepting that portion.
I
If
might
that's what your
suggest-
plan is.
I might suggest that we ask our highway superintendent Penny to go down and take a look and see what would be involved in county maintenance.
Now, are you talking all the way to the river?
No, just to where the gravel ends.
Just
To
towards
the
the
fence
gravel?
line.
I would say it's right to that fence line.
Who's gonna maintain it from the fence to the river then?
Well, that would be.
Nobody
that would
does.
be-
They never have, it's just grass.
That's
Okay.
core land.
I think it's all graded road up to that fence, if I
Right.
remember
I
right.
don't see.
That's my understanding.
I'll go down.
That's
I
what I
haven't
would
seen
say we
This
should do, we
is
should start right
George
there.
Turner.
And there's kind of just a little flat out there where they drive and park or whatever, and then just walk right down to the beach.
But they,
This is
But if we do
also
that-
inside of that fence, you can go right, and there's a road that goes down to the
Yep.
other one, over on that other side,
Yep.
down in there. That's where everybody goes for lake access, for ice fishing, to
Yep.
get across as they go right down through there.
Oh, yeah, a lot of them cut through there to go all the way up and down that whole area.
Down to here's Pat, here's where his daughter owns, and here's where
There would
George.
be no toilet facilities down there, I don't suppose.
Pardon?
There's
No
nothing.
toilets or anything.
This, like, right here is.
Did you have a rescue board down there? That's where that girl drowned 2 summers ago.
This is where George owns. This is George, and this is Burns's,
Yep.
and this is 30-foot public road.
Right, that's the other problem, it wasn't a full width road.
But I mean, if the plot was approved by everybody, that's my thinking. But it is plotted as a public road.
It's platted as a.
But I forgot about that, it is only 30 feet too.
Here is.
What is it normally, Penny?
Here is.
When you do it 66, right?
Yeah.
Here's George, and then here's Burns's house, and then that road comes here and Jack's, this is where Jack's.
I don't think,
and this is 30 foot.
George is saying anything about the width of the road, is he?
From here to
He
here
just
is
wants
30
it to,
feet.
Well, no,
Yep.
it's 30 feet wide.
I don't think that's asking too much. I think
And
Kenny should
so
just go
it's
down and
like
check it out and see what it's all gonna entail.
223 feet and 207.
Go from there.
So it's public road.
That's his plot.
Maintenance gets too bad, then they won't use it. I don't know.
Well, and then I think that's what he's worried about is, well, I'll close it off because I'm not doing it, and then all of a sudden the state's gonna come in and we're right back to square one on what belongs to is kind of his dilemma, so.
I guess what's gonna happen too is that he closed it off, more than likely than he put some sort of barricade across it, but what he's gonna find is he ain't gonna be home all the time. They're just gonna drive right around it.
That's a potential problem too, yeah.
Well, what he wants is a county ticket.
Yep.
I think
So this
Kenny's
is just
gonna
a
check it
plot.
out and go from there.
This is just a ploy to get the county ticket.
I think let's just have Kenny check it out and we'll address it next meeting.
If it isn't too big a deal, we'll do it. We might.
That's all I look at.
But we definitely should do it the right way by resolution, putting that into the system, if we're gonna agree to do
But
it.
I mean, have Kenny check it out first and then the next meeting, then address it.
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty, we'll do it that way. Number 7. Discussion, health insurance rates.
This one.
So we got our renewal rates, back on our current plan, and basically, they quoted us a 25% increase in price to stay with the plan that we have right now. Take us from a monthly premium, which changes as we, as we get different employees on there, then there are different number of employees, but, monthly premium of $41,000, a little over $41,000 to almost $52,000, and all these numbers are on there. You can see, the plan that we're on now is the one that's highlighted in blue on the chart. The 2016 plan, that's what we have currently. The renewal plan is what was quoted to us. On the right, I've outlined a couple of plans that are similar to what we have right now, but they are Affordable Care Act plans. These are ones that we were quoted by Jesse Ponold. So as some alternative options because he knew that this looked so bad, so I put in bold the one that I thought would be probably our best bet. You can see there's some gonna be a few changes here. The most significant one is that the out-of-pocket maximum would go up by $2,000 for both single and family. But there are some other things, the deductible actually goes down for the family plan, the co-insurance goes down, which could end up saving people a little bit of money there. Prescription plan is basically fairly similar on most of the stuff. The Affordable Care Act plans do have a certain set of benefits where you get preventative screenings are all free, everything like that. For dependent child care, you get, dental and vision are covered under those, 100% for anybody under the age of 19. There's some other things too, I'm not 100% versed on what those are, but those are a couple of the big benefits to the Affordable Care Act plans. It's an age-based plan is what they call it, where everybody's premiums are different depending on what their age is. And it's, you know, it stands to, if we go with the one that I highlighted, it keeps our premiums basically, the same as what they were for 2016. The plan that we're on now is based on the risk pool of the just the county employees, which is why it went up so much. We've had some rather large claims, so that's why we had our 25% increase. If you go to an Affordable Care Act plan, I think it takes you against everybody in the state of South Dakota on these plans, so your risk pool increases a little bit.
Those of us that are using the insurance quite a lot though right now, that's a lot for $4,000 out of pocket max.
Yeah, I agree, it'll take it up by $2,000, but on the other hand, your co-insurance drops from 30 to 20, so on some of the smaller things, you might not have to pay, you might not end up paying the full amount in excess of it,
But there's a lot of us that are right now, we don't have smaller things, it's all
Mhm,
bigger
right.
things.
So I mean, there's gonna be some changes, there's no doubt about it.
If we step out of that grandmother plan into the, what I call Obamacare, we can't go back, correct?
No, and basically, the grandmother plan's not gonna hang on forever either, though. I mean, we could get it this year. Personally, I think that is a ridiculous amount of increase, but I can't advocate staying with that same plan personally.
It's not as much as I've heard from some other people,
Oh, I know, everybody's going up
as high as 40%.
for what we're getting out of the Affordable Care Act plan. It's not, I'm not even gonna say it's worse insurance, it's different insurance, you know, it puts some stuff on the back end there, you know. It's the $2,000, that's the main difference there.
Doesn't it really limit who your physician can be?
This is still Walmart, so you're still covered under the whole Walmart network. Yeah, it's not, that shouldn't change anything there according to what Jesse told me. You still have the whole
Shouldn't or
Walmart
won't?
coverage. Well, according to him it won't, so, I mean,
So
we
we
should be
can-
able to have the same providers that we have now.
So we can still go to Rochester if we need to.
Yeah. That's what he said. So if we can call and confirm it with him, if that's what you guys wanna do, but that's one of the benefits of staying with Walmart, is that you have their whole network.
And people like Sue, all her, should just be covered the same as it is now, only the difference would be the deductible, basically.
Out of pocket max would be the difference.
And yours is 2 right now, and go up to 4,000.
Yeah. That would be the main difference there. So co-insurance actually drops down, co-pays drop a little bit, you know, nothing really significant there. Deductibles stay, it actually drops for the family plan, the deductible drops to 2,000 for the family plan.
The benefits, the ACA benefits are, you know, if you look at them and know what it costs to get an annual physical, a mammogram, and a colonoscopy, You know, I don't think you can get all that for $2,000. But here you get it.
Even if you look at that, the one to the right of the one that I put in bold, that's better insurance than what we have now, and it would save us money over what the renewal rates are on our plan. That'd still save us $40,000, $50,000 a year. And that's better insurance than what we're carrying now. That's 750 PPO platinum.
Then I guess why wouldn't I be leaning that way then?
Cause I didn't think it was unreasonable to keep the, for what we're getting out of this insurance plan, I don't think it would be unreasonable to keep the premiums basically similar. You know, if you look at the bottom line, look at the bottom number, the one on the far left is what we're paying right now. And then compare that to the rest of them, you know, $495,882.12 annually.
Ryan, how can you get a bottom line when you have two variables?
Well, it's based on the current enrollment. It's gonna change depending on your employee roster.
So your bottom number on the highlighted plan could be different than the 42.
Based on your employee roster, yeah, it could be a little bit different, yep. If you hire an older employee, that's gonna make your insurance premiums go up a little bit. If you hire a younger employee, it might make it drop a little bit. But this is just based on current enrollment. We know basically for the plans that we're in now, that's gonna be pretty close to what it is, you know, cause that isn't age based, that's just based on the number of enrollees, so. I think I checked the roster and it looked like it was pretty much a full cast on those, so.
Weren't we were talking about doing something with that family?
That's incorporated into this. and that-
I know, but I meant what the county's gonna contribute. We were talking about that.
Right. What I gathered from what you guys were talking about was you wanted to try and phase it out over the course of 4 years. So basically with these ACA plans, everybody's rates are gonna look a little bit different. If each of those kids or dependents on a family plan is insured separately through those, it'll have a separate dollar amount. So some people might be carrying $1,200–1,300 in family coverage. Some people might be carrying $400–500 in family coverage. If you say that right now we're basically paying about 50% in excess of the single premium. If you wanted to phase it out over the course of 4 years, you'd add about 12.5% to that. And then, the employees would be paying 62.5% above single premium. So that's kind of what I incorporate. It's gonna work for some people, it's not gonna work for others. Depends on it's gonna depend on how many people you have, how many dependents you have, if you wanna do it that way. Some people, their contribution will actually go down from what it is right now. They'll be paying less than the $499.18 if you go with that. Some people will be up around $1,000 a month to carry that coverage. It's gonna vary, and that's,
I don't think it would be phased out, would it?
I don't think it should be. I think if we do that, we're gonna lose employees.
Yeah. Don't do it, I'll be
People
phased out.
we've invested time and money into to train, and especially when we got people at $14 an hour. We're gonna- Family guys, family people.
Well, I think we had already discussed that, I thought, and,
We discussed it a while ago.
no, we didn't, but.
We didn't come to any conclusion.
No. But it's not too many places that do this, I would probably say probably none. That have it this way.
I think the state does. And her sister, we got her husband on there. And I don't remember, I've talked to other places, I don't remember just where they are that do offer family, but not all of them do, no.
The problem with under the Affordable Care Act plans is, I mean, you can keep the contribution the same, you can say, you're gonna pay $500 a month for this coverage. Some people's benefit will be $2,500, some people's benefit will be $400, you know? So, I mean, it's kinda, it's tough to do it that way, you almost have to pick a percentage and say, you're gonna pay this much in excess of your single premium. It's just figuring out what that is, it's gonna, see if I can find some specific examples for you here.
Well, we got nine employees that are on family care right now.
9 and 11,
I guess I would like to see if our budget can stand it to stay with the grandmother plan until after the election and see what's gonna happen. I think if we get a whole new administration, this is gonna change a lot. It's gonna have to sometime.
It was Jesse's recommendation that we switch over as well. Just like I showed you earlier, you can get better insurance for less money. And, you know, if you can do that, it just doesn't make sense to stay when the rates are going up like that. I don't think that, you know, it's nothing that they'll be able to get rid of, even with the change in administration, but they'll probably have to do some phasing again, you know, and phase you back out of it like they're trying to do with these grandmother plans, but that cost is unjustifiable.
What do the rest of you have to your department think?
his quotes.
I feel the same way that Jim does, I stated that before, I just think everything's too much up in the air. And I think we talked about, we're all pretty comfortable with that plan at this point, as long as we can keep it. The thing that scares me is if you go out of it, you cannot go back in.
What do you think, Paul?
Stay with what we got if we can.
What do you think?
That out-of-pocket deductible
What do
is,
you think?
I agree.
So we got 4.
Okay, if we
We
stay
didn't
low,
ask Josh,
Josh, sorry about that, Josh.
he kinda blends into the wall though.
Yeah.
Description here,
I agree, I think it would be smart to,
Tier ones are generally generics, and then it goes to preferred.
One more year.
Specialty,
There could be so
kind
many
of tiers
changes.
like that, you know?
If we get a different administration, well, it's gonna have to
We have
sometime,
it in the one we have now even.
no matter what administration we have, because this country cannot continue like this.
I think, I just,
And someday, somebody over east needs to wake up.
There are more insurance companies pulling out of that plan too, so.
I think we should do is just, everybody look at this, decide, and figure it out. Look at it some more, I wanna do a little more checking on something anyhow. And, when do we gotta make our decision? When is it we gotta have a decision?
He
made?
went and talked to Ryan, so you're gonna have to ask him.
our plan doesn't expire till
the end of the
end
year.
of December, so.
Isn't it November 1?
If we wanna stay on the grandmother plan, we have to, do that enrollment thing again, yeah. So,
We do have a little time.
I think you got us some prices here, and I think we should sit there and think about this a little bit, see what we really wanna do and not make a decision right today, so.
I gave you my opinion, I think if the money's not the main concern, then you could get us better insurance than what ours is now, for less money, by switching to one of these ACA plans. And I don't think you're gaining anything by staying on a grandmother plan. Think of the millions and millions and millions of people that have already changed. They're not gonna be able to blow this system up and just say, oh, you're out on your own, you're SOL, you know, it's not the way it's gonna work. I think you're flushing money down the toilet by staying with the plan we have now. If money's not the object, if you don't wanna keep the premium similar, I'd get us better insurance for less money.
let's discuss it next meeting.
That's what I said, I think we got some figures here, and I think we should
Voted for this year.
think about it.
My question would be, where do you come up with the other $117,000 to stay on the plan?
That's why we got nothing for our budget.
'Cause we gotta come up with that money somewhere if we're gonna stay on that plan.
I think most of us built in at least 20% budget increases for health insurance into our budgets for next year.
Didn't you say 25?
But not on all of them, we need to discuss budget one of these days, because on some of them, it went down. What we budgeted for health insurance on these papers.
And we gotta have that all done by the 20th. Correct?
Yeah, you can make changes up until the 20th.
By the 20th. So I guess that's my feeling, we should, now we got some
And if
things.
anybody wants to see the whole plan documents, recommend both have copies of them.
You guys want copies of them to take with you?
On what?
Copies of this.
I'll get them started making copies right now.
Okay. All right, thanks, Brian. All right, we'll move on to number 8. Now, wait till Becky's got this.
Yep.
Okay, for the resolution for 2016-07.
That was the resolution that was finished, so basically it's just a hearing.
We just need a motion for this.
I'll make a motion to adopt it.
I got a motion on the floor, I need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, second, any more discussion on this?
We're gonna print this in the paper again, and then we still need to make some changes on it.
No, if we're gonna make changes on it now, you just have to put it in your minutes of the next meeting.
So, you know, on the, what was it, 25th, we were gonna discuss budget again on the 16th, and we didn't. I don't remember that, you know, next budget discussion will be held on August 16th after the regular commissioner meeting, we didn't do that.
Yeah, we did it after, we did, when was it, after old business, or, I can't remember. But there was discussion on it.
Well, I thought we were gonna go through each one again.
I guess I didn't think so. We have, I mean, we got to yet, but if we're gonna have changes.
You know, 'cause when you go through here, several of these, health insurance for 17 is less than it was in 16, what we budgeted. And I don't have them all sorted out, that's one of them.
That's based on how much was spent so far, because like this one, hers is all split between Jamie's department for extension.
I should have kept them all separate. I noticed there's, here, registered deeds went down $2,000 or $2,500.
Yeah, look at the amount expended currently. That was for over half a year.
But I don't understand that. How do we spend 24,000 in 15 and only 9,000 in 16 so far? And
So our premiums
you know, we
went
went
down.
22 to 24 to.
But when we changed the plan, our premiums went down for this year from last year.
I thought they all stayed about the same when we
They
went.
went down some.
Not that much.
Well, I'd have to look back, but
But anyway, I think we should just need to discuss some of that stuff.
that's why I put the health insurance discussion before adopting the provisional budget.
So
Well, there's one thing I wanted to bring up about the health insurance too, with the ACA plans, obviously on each individual budget, it's going to vary based on the age of the employees too. So, you know, there's gonna be some big individual budget fluctuations if you go that route. Just so that you're aware of that.
Is it more expensive for the older?
Yes, yes it is.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, it really is, like, if you look at somebody that's 65.
Are we
Look at
placing
me,
it?
I'm 60.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find one year here. It's 1104.60 a month, and then for me, I'm 32, or I'll be 32. It's 435.58 a month. So I mean, that's a pretty big discrepancy there. So like I said, the individual ones in the departments are going to fluctuate quite a bit based on the age of the employees. If you choose to go that way.
And if you guys wanna study these papers that we're handing out and then make a decision at the next meeting before we adopt the annual budget, we'll just have to make more, or put in the minutes what changes we're gonna make to the insurance. Or whatever you wanna change it to.
Cause we can still make any changes for the budget at the beginning of the next meeting, correct?
Yep.
I guess that's what I thought we kind of agreed on doing, making sure we do it at the 20th meeting.
Would we still be paying for individual ones, no matter what the cost is? Single premium?
Why would that change, I guess?
Well, because it goes from $400 to $1,000, you know.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
And see, if that's the case, if we're gonna do that, and you're gonna pay $1,000 for somebody that's 60-some years of age, but then you're gonna take it away from the family plan, you know, to take that $500 away from the family plan, you're gonna pay somebody 62 years of age $1,000 compared to $400. That isn't right either. Younger people's premiums are always less.
Jamie, how can we do that where you can't discriminate against age though?
Well, we can't,
If you're paying 100% of
Yeah.
individual premium,
You
then
just
you're
gotta
not
pick a percentage.
discriminating,
yeah.
If you say we'll pay 100% of individual premium, then,
It's gonna have to be based on a percentage, not,
like I said, it gets ugly with the family plan when you start looking at it like that.
You're never gonna get a fair resolution, because everybody's situation's different. Wouldn't you agree, Ryan? It's just how can you try and get as close to being as fair as possible?
I guess I wanna check in and see exactly how the state's doing. That's what I'm gonna do.
I don't know who they're on.
Well, I'll find out very easily.
My wife carries my kid on Dakota Care, yeah, and I think it's like $75 a pay period, so about $150 a month, somewhere in that neighborhood for my 4-year-old.
I believe Dakota Care coverage has some limits on where you can go.
She works for the state?
You know.
Yeah. My sister-in-law didn't say where the insurance was, just like.
Yeah, it's through Dakota Care. And Sanford just dropped out of that network, I believe.
we can find out a lot of information when we go to the convention next week.
Was it first year they dropped out?
I'm sure it'll be a topic there, it's gotta be, because we're not the only ones in this boat.
If not, it'd be a good thing to bring up in your guys' round table to see what other counties
Yeah.
are doing.
Okay, got a motion on the floor and a second. Any other discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Okay, we'll go to number 9, burn ban.
Morning.
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 Just thought we'd talk about the burn ban. I got a lot of calls the last week. I don't know what you guys think about keeping it on or lifting it or what.
I would be in favor of lifting it.
okay? I know
Yes,
with,
I would be too.
I
with the
would be
fall coming on, there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna wanna burn stuff before winter. So,
too. I'm in favor of it too.
What's the rest feel?
I think we could probably lift it.
Dwayne?
I think right now we don't need a burn ban, but we might later again.
right,
So I would lift it right now.
okay, that's what I kind of was leaning for too, so. That is all I needed, so.
I would so move.
Okay, got a motion on the floor and a
I'll
second. Any other discussion? Here none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.
Nyla.
Morning.
Morning.
I handed out the report there this morning for the monthly report. The bottom of the agenda. Anybody have any questions on that? I'd be glad to answer them.
I've got one.
Okay.
Why is there such a difference between last year and this year of how much taxes have been collected? Are people not
There's-
paying taxes or,
More taxes due that will be coming in this year, but, yeah, exactly.
I mean, we should have more collected because of the increase in revenue. But we're 175,000 short of last year,
You're correct.
just because people aren't paying them or?
Right. We're hoping to get them collected here this fall before October 31st. You know, some people pay ahead, maybe they didn't do that this year. I've only been in office for a year and a half, so I don't know what people's habits are, but I'm assuming that we're gonna be catching that up in October.
I know I used to pay in full in January and I didn't this year. I paid my first half instead. I paid the second half before the next.
I just thought that there was quite a bit of difference from last year to this year so far.
Yes, it is.
Hopefully we can get it all covered.
We'll see where we're at in November.
Okay,
I'm still working on tax deeds. We had 6 people pay their tax deeds. The ones that we were gonna take, we're still taking 2 properties, one in Java and one, so.
You guys decided last time that you wanted to make a motion on this report.
Yes, true. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Okay, got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second.
I have a second. Any other discussion? Here none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
So we're still working on 2 distress warrants
Tax deeds.
for tax deeds.
One in Java and one in Selby.
We do have a couple issues though that the commission needs to decide with regard to at least one distress warrant. And then I know Nyla and I met with regard to, because I think there was a total of what, 27 distress warrants? And some of them have, the mobile home's not there anymore and all that stuff, so we're gonna have to abate those eventually. But we do have one, with regard to Mr. Duchino, he's here today. Basically, the total amount on that due is roughly $3,400, is that right?
Somewhere in there. I guess I
Yep.
didn't bring that with me. I didn't realize he was gonna be here.
And basically, he had been making payments to the sheriff until today. The sheriff has $1,000, is that right? Okay, I also, when I contacted the Hawaii Estates, because we had discussed this last meeting on whether they want us to leave it there or whatever, they had mentioned that they would have some interest in potentially paying off the remainder depending upon what Mr. Duchino had done in order to keep the mobile home in the mobile home park, and then they would work out something with Mr. Duchesneau because the mobile home's over 10 years old, so if the mobile home was moved out, it could not be moved back in. So now we have $1,000, which we still need to come in with 24. I have not talked to the Wahi Estate staff because we didn't know what was going to be brought in until basically today, which is $1,000. So my question is, what do you want me to do?
Proceed.
Ronnie, why don't you come up here and, what is your intention? We had it set up for you to make payments and you haven't made payments.
Yeah, I'm kinda limited to what I can do physically. And when I was working over at the jail, that was my main intention, was working at the jail, was pay some of the stuff off.
Okay,
Well, I mean, I don't wanna ruffle any feathers or nothing like that. But to this day, I still feel like I'm entitled to a bunch of overtime that I never got. Now, everybody wants to take, but nobody wants to give. So what I'm asking is all you guys, get my pay stubs, go through it, check it out, and if I got overtime coming, pay it towards this deal or pay me a check for it.
which was already done.
Well, it was done, we had a lawyer going after it, but he kinda just dropped it.
Because all of the pay stubs were gone through and verified that it was being paid right.
I know a lot of you guys are businessmen here and everything else, and I mean, you guys go through it and look at it and do the right thing. You know, I'm trying to do the right thing by keeping my trailer off.
Okay,
And I gave you guys $1,000. If you guys wanna set up a different payment plan, that's fine. But if you don't, the Pleasant Valley property will pay the deal off, but I'm still in the same boat again. They're gonna tack it on to my lot rent. You know, so I'm still looking at trying to scrounge up $1,000 a month, just to live there.
Ronnie, though, what I'm not understanding, we'll get back to that pay stub deal. I mean, I think that was all a worked out deal. I mean, I guess your lawyer should have taken care of that.
Well, I mean-
Why, in your mind, I guess, why do you think that it was done wrong? Right now,
I've had different jobs, I looked at the pay stubs, and 6 or 7 of us people that went for the lawsuit. You know, why is it 6 or 7 people wrong compared to one person being right?
The
You know,
department-
everybody else, they're getting their right overtime pay and everything right now, which was not paid back then.
pretty sure it was.
I think when this was all started, the documentation was all turned over to the attorney. And I think based upon his review that there was no errors, or the lawsuit would have probably continued. And so,
You know, what I'm asking is all you guys ask for the pay stubs, take them home and figure them out. You know, I've done it.
I think that's already been done.
That's already been done as far as I
Every
know.
one of you guys took them home.
No, they did not, but that's not their responsibility either.
I would say your lawyer's the one that, if anything, when they had done a little figuring on it, if anything, the county might have paid a little too much. That was how my understanding was done with that. I think that'd be something that you should take up, I guess, as far as I'm concerned. I mean.
I think, yeah, you're right, we're on the issue of what do you wanna do with regard to the distress warrant.
You know, well, if I gotta take it in short, it's $5,000 about what I figured, I mean, I'll have to do that. But I'm trying to do the right thing, and that's what I'm asking you guys to do, is do the right thing by taking them pay stubs home and sit down and figure them out. If you guys got employees, you know what you pay overtime,
Right.
holiday time.
We're talking about two different things right here now.
That's right, but I'm trying to get my money back so I can stay ahead too, I mean, I'm just going down.
Okay, but
That's-
that's a totally separate issue
Correct.
there.
We're here to discuss the distress warrant, the pay thing is not on the agenda, so we're off task, you're right.
Okay, so getting back to the other one, you come in and ask us to set up a pay schedule that you could handle to pay off your warrant. We set one up for you, that you agreed that you would pay a certain amount each month to to get your back up to where you're supposed to be. Correct? You agreed to that? And did you not say, and did we tell you that if you don't pay this, that we could take your property?
Yes, you did.
Did you agree to that?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and you didn't make the payments, so what is our option now?
If you guys wanna take that house, that's fine, but I mean, it's gonna get paid for, I mean, that's beside the point. It's gonna get paid for one way or the other.
And that's all we're asking for, is to get it paid for.
But I'd rather be able, rather be able to set up, I showed you guys, I can come up with $1,000, I mean, I took $1,000 away from other bills that should be paid, that I'm behind right now, you know.
We don't want you to,
But I mean, if you guys wanna set up a different plan where it's $200-300 a month, I'll do it.
What was the?
But you agreed on that one.
$100.
$100 a month.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying, you know, I was working over at jail and I was making, should have been making damn good money. And when I got done at the end of every month, it was only like $2,000. Well, hell, you probably know how much gas I charge down here, you know, and I've had over like $1,100 a month payments going to that, just that trailer house alone. With electricity, lot rent, and trailer house payment. When I got done, I didn't have hardly anything to live on for the next month. Or it would have been paid. You know, it just didn't work out that way.
And basically, we just need a decision on whether you want me to continue to progress, and we'll go that route or not.
What's the rest of the commission feel? I feel, I guess I'll just speak right away. I felt that way, that you agreed on it. I was taking your word for it.
You know, I'll give you my word, but it didn't work out that way. Just like this past week, I was supposed to have a job up in North Dakota, hauling story for $22 an hour. I had 80 loads hauled. Well, that's why I talked to Josh and Jamie, and I was gonna get up there and make it. I probably would have had you guys a pretty good chunk of it paid off by this week. But that deal didn't go through, so I mean, I'm not giving you guys a deal where I don't know what I'll do.
Dave, what do you feel?
You said you said you could pay $100 a month when,
The first time I did.
yeah. Can you still do that? Could you do that?
Well, I'll do 100 or as much as I can every month.
If we could just go with 100 and then, you know, not get behind on the 100, I would go along with that. You know, I don't want you coming in and having to pay $1,000 and not paying anybody else.
Well, see, that's where I'm at right now. I took $1,000 away from paying my lot rent, and I took $1,000 away from paying my trailer house payment. So behind both of them as of the first of the month again.
I would just, you know, rather just have you keep up with your contract of $100 a month.
I'd be for that. You know, but as soon as I get out of here, I'm gonna talk to Pleasant Valley Property and see what kind of deal they're gonna make me. I mean, if it's gonna be over $100 a month that they're gonna charge me, I might as well go with the $100 a month plan that you guys give.
Josh?
I think, you know, as far as what's being discussed right now, I think the only option right now is, Ronnie, I can still continue to take payments from you, but we're gonna have to. I think we should check with the Hawaii Estates property on our own. I haven't, but while I was present with Jamie, on speakerphone, we've talked with them. I think we should continue that route to get this paid. Deal with the property itself, because they don't want the trailer house leaving. I still think we need to make those wheels turn and still deal with that property management company. Because they don't, like I said, they don't want to see the trailer house leave. If we tow it out of there, they can't get anything back in there. So I mean, and they've already offered up to help out. We just need to open that communication again to them to see what they're willing to do now that there's $1,000 paid out.
I would agree with the sheriff, we need to proceed as previously. But in the meantime, I can also contact Hawaii Estates and let them know what the situation is, and perhaps it can get paid off and then we'll be done anyhow, so.
Now, if Ronnie paid the $1,000, how many months is he behind I don't remember just when we started
I said
this.
over 2,460 bucks as of today.
No, how many?
We made the agreement in December.
December.
And at that time, there was $400 put in there, and we didn't get a payment since.
How much was the agreement for? Was it
$100 a month.
So then, if he paid $1,000, we're pretty much current with our agreement, right?
Right.
Are you working now?
No, not,
And you left the sheriff's department because it wasn't practical to drive?
well, I mean, between driving all the way over here every month for a month straight with no money, you know, I was charging gas down here at Shorty's, and, you know, by the time I get done paying it, it didn't
So it was
pan
too
out.
expensive to keep that job, gas. $1,000 that you have today brings you up current with the agreement that you had. Is that true?
I had no idea.
Yeah, basically, I think you'd be a little bit ahead, because we'd have $1,400, and we made the agreement in December, so you would be up through
So
roughly the end of the year.
Without a job, or prospect of a job, are you going to be able to continue payments? Doesn't sound like you are, because you robbed Peter to pay Paul, and in
Well, I mean, I
fact,
called South Dakota Retirement this morning, and I can get about $1,900 drawn out of there, so.
lump sum are you talking?
Yes.
Do you have other obligations?
I been trying to get hold of another guy since yesterday afternoon. I was supposed to be up in Eagle Butte, building decks for him for $22 an hour. But I mean, I don't know how long that's gonna last either, because I got 2 bulged discs in my back, a pinched nerve in my left leg, and 2 bad knees. So, I mean, that's,
right now, we haven't cut that check yet to the treasurer yet, that's on the books with the sheriff's office. So it's not actually showing on Nyla's books yet, so, but it is down there, I have the $1,000 downstairs.
But if you have a disability, you should be applying for disability benefits.
I tried that, they said didn't qualify, so
How old are you?
56.
56?
Do you
And that's,
live,
I mean, that's the type of guy I am. I ain't looking for no handouts. I'm able to work until they put me in the ground.
do you live alone?
Me and my boy,
How old is he?
senior this year, 17.
Why don't you see what you can come up with Hawaii Estates and see how they wanna go, or if they'd be willing to help out, or, well, I guess as long as you're caught up, then just try to keep making your $100 payment, but in the meantime,
We're basically gonna need to have you guys make a decision though, because basically, the distress warrant, Josh technically has to act on it, so if you want to agree to take that money and put him back on the payment plan that he was already on, I think we should probably do that by motion to accept the $1,000 and, put him back on the payment plan, or proceed with the distress warrant and on the collection end of it.
Why was $1,000 not made to the treasurer instead of the sheriff's office?
He's got it.
I gotta collect it, so it's gotta go run through my office first, and then it's just the process, and then it goes
Yeah,
up to the
distress
treasurer.
warrants are run for the sheriff.
Right.
And Jamie, what was your feeling? You felt to keep the wheels turning going forward?
That way we can get potentially our money paid out of it and be done. That's kinda how I was looking at it. It's up to the group, that's why we're here today, and, cause I can't make that decision for you. Or on your behalf, that's something the group has to make.
How much are other taxes per year?
Around $1,000.
Well, I guess what I'm looking at, Ronnie, is if you hadn't made the payment since the agreement was made, how are you really gonna keep planning to make that payment?
I'll make damn sure you gotta get your $100 every month, and then after that, I'll have to survive after that. I've done it all my life, so it don't matter to me.
Going back to the taxes, $1,000 a month on a 10-year-old trailer. So,
I'm gonna check, I have just written.
what's that?
He owes
Just-
788.81 for one particular year, 1,034.57 and 913.61 for the third year. There's a lot of interest accrued on those. So this particular year in 2015, the tax itself was $821. So you're right, they're about $800 to $900.
A year.
Right, and then the rest of that is interest.
So you have a history of delinquent taxes for
3 years probably.
It's a 1994 16x80 shelf valued at
and what do you have it at?
20, about 28.
20,000?
28.
I think there's part of the problem right there. The 10-year-old house for 28,000.
I guess, I think you need to talk with the Hawaii States or whoever that is and see if you can get something worked out with them. I guess that's,
The other part of the problem is that, Ronnie's not, he needs to stop at my office today and fill out an owner occupied form. He's never sent those back, so that would help. If it was owner occupied. So if Ronnie, when you leave, he'll stop in my office, we'll get that done.
Do you, what do you think the market value of that house is?
I think it's probably pretty close on a 16x80, a shelf.
well, let's get back to that. What's the rest of the commission wanna do here?
If you want to proceed, just tell me you wanna proceed, because that's where the route we're already on. If you don't wanna proceed and put it back on a payment plan, then it would be best to do that on a motion, and those are kind of the two options before the.
Can I ask a question? This was brought up last meeting because the payments weren't being made, but now the payments were being made and,
No,
Since that time, he's made
$1,000
oh,
payment.
okay.
to the
Yes.
sheriff.
I was trying to.
I made $1,000 payments in the last 2 weeks.
I would just suggest that we proceed. Can we table this for another meeting
That's totally up to the commission.
without causing a problem with the?
That's totally up to you, correct?
I'd like to see once, what, if the taxes are fair, if what he's being assessed is reasonable.
How much would they go down, Deb, do you think, on average, if it was owner occupied?
About, say, $7 a thousand.
Okay, so not a whole lot then.
150.
Okay. So, yeah, that's totally up to you as a commission.
I'd like to question the market value of that house. And if we could just hold it off for a couple of weeks, we could.
And that's why we need the guidance from you, because technically Josh, the sheriff, is under the gun. Two, he has a time requirement, that's why we need to let you make that decision, because he has requirements under the statutes.
As long as
to
we're
do
talking
things.
about taxes, I think it's behooves us to be on firm ground and know that we're taxing him fairly before we cause him and his family to move out of a house that may be taxed unfairly. I'm not suggesting it is, but let's find out.
You wanna make a motion to table till next meeting?
I put that into a motion. We want to hold off for a week and look at the tax.
Till the next meeting, you mean?
Yeah. May not change.
Okay, I got a,
If we do this, then, you know, your history hasn't been good as far as meeting your obligation to the county. This is not our money we're talking about, this is everybody's money. you're in a different frame of mind.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor. Dwayne's, I need a second.
Can you read what the motion is?
He said he wanted to make it into a motion to table and look at the taxes.
Until next meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, got a second. Any more discussion on that? Hear none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
And the sheriff and I will be working on that, our end of it, like you suggested, just so at least we have more information next meeting.
All right. Okay, we'll go to number 11, contract with Grant
We
County.
also had a discussion about other.
Oh, okay, sorry about that.
Deb had it ready for you,
Yes,
Oh, sorry.
so.
because we had 20, what was it, 28, Nyla?
Okay.
Nyla had given me a list of, they're like mobile homes building on these sites. She wanted me to check on, if there was, you know, anything we could do. There's two for Amanda, there's two for one person that we already abated in March that show up on this list, and 3 from another person that we already abated in February. So that, those 5 could come off. There's also 9 on this list that I had sent abatement forms to, never got the abatement forms back signed, never will. But they should not, they were either gone, you know, cause these go back to like 2012, 13, they're, you know.
So how do we correct then the ones
We
that,
can abate them,
well,
even.
on the ones that we've already abated, how do we correct that on Nyla's book so she does not have a distress warrant?
I'm not sure.
Because basically the problem is we have all these distress warrants that should not be out there, which makes Nyla look problematic when it's, how do I collect on this one? We've either abated them or whatever. That's the main goal here, is to clear up all of these distress warrants.
I think those, the one that we did, it was like 2 different years for one person in March and 3 different years for another person in February. That's just a paperwork thing that didn't get all the way through somehow.
Okay, and then on the other
And we can
ones,
check that out. The other ones, I can do the abatement forms, I have copies of them, I just didn't get them back from those people signed. I think, and I never will, and I think we should just abate those off and take them off Nyla's list. That leaves her about 3 or 4 that do actually, she should
and that's where we
actually
should be,
collect from.
is, because it just makes her books look bad, which she
You
doesn't.
had asked for a list of distress warrants, so when I got my list made up, I went in and visited with Deb about some of them that were questionable, why they were still on there. So she came up with answers for us.
Why will you never get that, you say? How are you knowing that you're never gonna?
Some of them don't even live in this county anymore, and it's just people that maybe we've dealt with. One guy, that used to live in Acasta, I think he's in jail. You know, he's just not gonna, they're not gonna send him back, they just don't. It's like the people who I send an owner occupied form to year after year after year, and they just won't send it back. Case in point. You know, they just, it's like they get paperwork from the county and it just panics them and they just ignore it. And if they ignore it and we don't do something with it, it hangs on Nyla's books. So that's why I looked at it for Nyla.
A lot of these are on here for more than 1 year, you know, when you say 27, some of them are on here 3 times, 4 times, 2 times.
Same person,
Same
but it's
person,
different
same
years.
mobile home that's not there.
But it just keeps carrying through the interest and penalty and taxes or whatever. So if you want me to, if you
How about
want to
this?
abate those, I can get those ready for next time.
Well, Jamie, if that's what you think we should do, then that's what we should do, I guess.
And that's exactly right, we need to clear up,
Let's get the books
not,
cleared up.
and that was basically the problem, is Nyla's books are like, I have all these distress warrants out there and I can't have that on there, so I'm like, okay, let's work on how we resolve this. This is the process of how we resolve this. but also Nyla has to address it in front of you, because you're the county commission, and ultimately make the decisions, because she cannot abate. That's a commission decision, that's why we're here with these, so you folks know what's going on, where we're at, but you have to approve.
Well, I would say everyone that the trailer house is not there for all these years, get the abatements ready for next meeting, and we'll get them abated off, and then get the paperwork switched around so it can come off of Nyla's.
I can do that, that's no problem.
And then get to find out where the paperwork is for these other ones that are already done, so.
Yeah, I'll check into that too.
Okay,
And that's basically what we need, is just guidance from the commission.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Niall.
Thank you.
All right, then let's go to number 11, contact with Grant County for inmate housing.
That was supposed to be on last meetings and, got omitted. It's just a contract from Grant County, North Dakota, to sign on and house inmates here if they need a spot.
I'll need a motion for that.
what's the rate?
The rate is current at 80, and they were already advised that it will be changing in January to the new rate, so they'll have to sign a new one. But for right now, it'll be the current one.
Where's Grant County, yeah, what town?
North Dakota.
North Dakota by Sioux,
Yeah.
What's the town up there?
I don't know.
I so moved.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion on the floor and a second. Any more discussion? We're trying to find a town that says anything.
That's West River or East River?
It's gonna be Elgin,
Okay.
Leipzig,
On
Raleigh.
On this side of the river.
Just east of this.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passed.
Josh, did Stanley County get a hold of you? They contacted me and I gave them your number, they would like to get on board too.
The only thing, I have not talked to him yet, unless the jail has, but I don't think so, Justin. I think we have one currently with Stanley County, but, I know they were running into some bed space at, Hughes County, they're getting full, so everybody knows where Stanley County is as far as housing, if we have room there. But,
She just asked me about it on Friday.
okay.
Deb said Carson's the county seat for
Yeah.
Grant.
That's after it's full now,
But we'll check on that, Becky.
and Aberdeen is always running full, so.
Here's running forward.
Yep. That's why Stanley County wants to make arrangements. And then Falk County shut down
Yeah.
during their construction, so that eliminates bed space too,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, let's go to number 12. Kenny?
Webb has asked for an easement to do a water line over to West Mosers. And they're real good about encasing everything and making sure it works, so just need a motion. And then, Scott, you need to sign it and then I'll get it sent back to Webb.
I so
If you
moved.
approve it.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion on the floor and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passed.
You just want to hand that down to him and sign it and send it back to me. I heard from the federal people on Swan Creek Road project. They will be here in October to do test holes. Already now I have to go down and mark the road where they want to do the test holes, and they will be doing that in October. That's just to let you know. And then Scott had a bunch of questions last commission meeting for me, and here are my answers. Oops. Take a page and pass it around.
I haven't either, so.
Yeah, just that.
When you called me, other than that,
Yeah,
nothing.
he's sending the bill. He called me after they got the check. Did we talk to you, did I talk to you after that?
No, you just
Okay.
told me what was going on, and then I had not heard
Oh,
anything, so.
okay. He called me after he got the check, upset, and he's gonna send the Goldsmith bill to us, and I said, he'd have to talk to you about it.
Yep, and that, and you told me that, and that's not happened, so that's why I was just kind of
Okay,
curious.
no, I haven't gotten anything from him either. Okay, question one, when did blade operators start running mower tractors? We've always tried to cross-train everyone on all the equipment. James had a road that he needed to get bladed, and Jerry was busy sweeping the roads with just chip seal. So James took the mower tractor and mowed the road he needed mowed. Mower had developed a vibration, he brought it into the shop, and they changed the blades, and he took the mower out east to County Road 329 and did some mowing on that road to make sure the vibration had been fixed. All the other blade operators have also used the mower tractors at one time or another. The mower tractor operators are gone or busy with other things, the blade operators will take the mower tractors if they have a road in their area that needs mowing, and they will mow them. Why was County Road 329 mowed twice in 1 month? There are times when mower operators will end up mowing the same road twice in the same month, depending on where they are at the end of the month and where they start at the beginning of the month. Why didn't James leave the shop until 8 AM on Wednesday morning, August 10th, after we had rain on Tuesday, August 9th? Marty sent James to Java to help Les with his walk and roll because Dewey was out fighting a fire. Why was James washing his motor grader on Wednesday, August 10th at about 4 PM? Not washing his motor grader, he was washing his walk and roll off. It was packed full of mud and had to be washed off. With all the mud packed in and around the pivoting parts, it needs to be washed off so he could grease it. These machines have to be greased daily when used. This is routine maintenance and part of our warranty coverage. My request to you, Scott, and the rest of the commissioners is, when you get phone calls from county residents and they are asking questions about any of the roads, please ask the person to call me at the shop, and I'll be more than happy to answer their questions. My phone number is 649-7982. And that's all I have.
Do we patch holes in fall too, like on Swan Creek Road? Do we-
Yeah, we put a lot of patches in this spring.
Will we do it again this fall?
Generally not.
Oh,
but
I didn't
if we
know.
need to, we can.
Sun popped up another next week after they were gone.
Yeah,
So I just wondered if,
generally do that in the spring. But if it gets bad enough, we can.
So there must be a bad spot by Darrell Thompson's there, Jimmy saw it there too.
but it's been there for a long time,
But it
we're
must
top
be
of the hill
getting,
right to the west.
it sounded like it got worse because of the guys hauling the salvage trucks, it sounds like.
I don't know that, I
I don't know.
heard it any, it's not been good for years.
Okay, well, hopefully in 2018 it'll get fixed. When they go through and redo the road.
Let's put it, could you send somebody down there, or you go down there and look at it to see if it shouldn't wait till 2018?
Well, we'll look at it, yeah. We'll check all the asphalt before we do our patching and stuff. Continue to check it throughout the year, so we'll go down and take a look at it. I got some other things I gotta go look at tomorrow, so we'll swing down there and see what kind of shape it's in.
Does anybody have anything for Penny?
Alrighty. Hey, good job, Mike.
Thanks, Kenny.
Thank you, Penny.
Number 13, payroll changes.
I had a phone call from a couple of different people on the payroll changes, why it was done, and I would just like to have it explained how it was done and who was in charge, who was involved with it and stuff like that. And when you're planning on paying the people.
Well, we've got a schedule. It's gonna be twice a month, the 16th and the last day of the month. What we were doing was we were prepaying employees, and that does not work out because they never end up working what they had put down that they were going to be working. So then we were going back every month and having to adjust what we paid them from the previous month. And we had had requests for a long time from a lot of jail employees to be switched to twice a month payroll. And so while we were making the changes on the dates that we were paying, we just went to twice a month. plus it will help with the timesheets that come in, there's a lot of changes that have to be made on them. And it's gonna be benefit to have to do half a month at a time than having to do a whole month. Also, it was giving our department 3 days to do payroll, and this way it'll give us a longer time to do it.
You're doing it on the 16th and the last day of the month.
Yep, that's when paydays will be. And what schedule we went off of is what the state uses.
But yes, what do your employees think about that?
They ask why, when I explained it to them.
You
And
understand though?
I gave them the reasons that Becky had given me. And they're somewhat upset because some of them will have to rearrange monthly payments that they had set up at the first of the month when they got their full paycheck. But they did question why it couldn't be just that department if they were the ones that were causing all the problems. But nothing real drastic.
How about you, Josh?
I guess, the only thing that came up was, the one, like this pay period ends on the 8th, the 16th it's a full 7 or 8 days. That's where we got questioned as far as why it takes 8 days to get paid.
That's not working days, Josh.
What?
That's not working days.
It's 5 or 6 days.
You're not gonna find many places that do payroll in 3 days. You know, there's usually a cutoff, quite a bit of time before the actual check is cut. And
It's
this
basically-
transition period is just gonna be the only issue, once it's, we got over this first time, now it's just gonna seem regular. It's just gonna be, we're paying a week after the pay period ends, as opposed to prepaying days they haven't even worked yet.
And I think that's what caused most of the issue is we're going from paying ahead to paying a week behind, so.
Yeah,
A lot of people
I
are-
just question whether, trouble was for some of our employees, maybe change their house payments or something,
Well, but they requested me to do it, a
Years
lot of
ago,
them,
a year ago,
a lot of
yes.
them have been requesting it,
Yeah.
and then I do it, and then there's ones that have problems with it, there was ones that had problems with it before I did it, you can't please everyone.
Becky, how come you decided to go like twice a month instead of just every 2 weeks?
Because that works out the best for our system.
Every 2 weeks, you're gonna be, twice a year, you're gonna be paid 3 times in 1 month.
But I was just thinking about that because you guys had set up, like, for the jail, that they got paid overtime for anything over 80 hours in 2 weeks. So that's where my 2 week thought
Yeah.
came from.
No, with our system, it works best to do it twice a month, and like I said, we took what the state does, and that's the schedule we're using.
that'll work out all right with the jail staff, or 80 hours for 2 weeks.
It's not
into
gonna
your-
change that.
Into your pay schedule.
Yeah, it won't change the way it runs for their 2 weeks.
Your cutoff dates are the 23rd and the 8th,
Right.
and
But
pay is
sometimes,
16th and
I
the
don't
end of the month.
understand it, but sometimes it could be, your cutoff period could be in the middle of the 2 week period for some of the jail staff. Could it or no?
It is, it's gonna be like that, no matter, it was like that before when we were doing payroll the other way. There's no way to avoid that, unless we would do a 2 week pay period running by their 2 week schedule, which, like I said, doesn't work very well in the payroll system.
Well, I was just wondering if you were gonna have trouble figuring that in.
No,
Because
this
some
is-
of them might be at the end of your pay period, might only have a weekend,
So their overtime won't be calculated till the following week, till their 2 week, and that's the way it's always been.
Like some weeks they might only have 25 hours, and that won't screw up in your,
No.
you're figuring their pay on the 2.
They'll get paid the 25 hours. And then the following pay period, they'll end up with the overtime, if they end up with overtime in that 2 weeks.
Okay.
But there's really no way around that, running at 2 weeks.
Well, I'm just
They're
kinda
80
wondering
hours
if-
that they wanted, you know what I mean? The only way around it would be basically to do 40 hours a week, which wasn't working out for them.
I guess my question, Dave, is why didn't you just, to the people, whoever called you, why didn't you tell them to talk to their supervisor about it? Because their supervisor, I'm 100% positive, knew all about this transition. Am I correct or not?
I don't know.
Yeah. So why didn't you tell them? to talk to
Because of the supervisor, when I talked to them, they didn't know anything about it the last time, at the last meeting. And then I just thought, it should be brought up. And
Yeah, it's not a problem, but I said it, the supervisor, I'm positive, knew all about it, about the change.
Well, I didn't know about it. I didn't know anything about it. And I just thought that it should be brought up and we should be discussing it here, because there have been a lot of things discussed here that should be brought up with the supervisors alone. And I think this is a very important thing for all of our employees, and I thought it should be voiced. Right?
We did meet with all the department heads, Ryan and I.
But I even talked to Ryan about it, and he didn't know you were doing it at this time.
Ryan was the one who provided me
I
with the
knew we were
schedule.
doing it, I just didn't know exactly when until,
Yeah, so that's what I was concerned about.
Yes, we did know.
I knew it was coming, no.
You're the one who provided me with the
Oh,
schedule.
I know. I'm not,
Okay,
it shouldn't even be,
everybody knows.
it shouldn't even be an issue right now in my opinion, so,
Yes.
yeah.
It's over, but I think.
I think that was the only question, I mean, it was.
Yeah, and I had, people I talked to, I said, if you have any questions, come ask me. If you need any explanation, I can help with it too. So, I mean, I offered up my services as well. It's, done and over with. We knew there'd be some issues with the transition period. Kinda stinks, but I think everybody's handling it all right so far, aren't they?
Well, with any change, there's gonna be a hiccup, so
Yeah.
it's just something that we're gonna have to float over.
I don't, I mean, I understand your reasoning for wanting to bring it up and discuss it and everything and figure out exactly how it's gonna work, but I don't think we should make an issue of it, cause it's,
I wasn't making an issue of it, I just
Okay,
thought,
no, that's fine.
everybody should know.
that's fine. I don't want anybody to get dragged in or thrown under a bus or anything like that. I don't think that's necessary, so let's just move on.
I think like Becky said, you know, after the initial first or second pay period, it'll work itself out.
I know this has been talked about for over a year, that's how they really wanted it.
I know I talked to Becky about it last year, and I guess the more I think about it, the more questions I have, but
Well, the
Actually,
biggest
they
thing was
answered it.
prepaying was the biggest issue, is prepaying people and then having to go back and make adjustments and take away time and
It
add
was,
time.
yeah,
and-
it was causing me
I guess I
headaches
didn't
too,
realize we
so.
were doing that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
cause
I
they'd
can
write
see-
down their hours for the rest of the month, well then we'd pay it, well then they'd end up working more hours or less hours, and
I can see where that would be
And
a big issue.
that was the
yeah.
biggest problem.
Actually, it'll work itself out after this second, after this
Yeah,
next
it
one,
should.
right? Then it'll just be every 2 weeks and,
Well,
well,
twice a month,
not 2 weeks, twice a month.
yeah.
80-hour pay periods, I think there's a couple 88-hour ones before the end of the year because of the dates.
Yeah, yeah,
But
and then
otherwise, then everything is just 80 or 88, so.
the insurance will be split in half and things like that.
Now in December, Becky, are you is that gonna work the same then? Because of the closeout of the new year?
I think it will, cause I did talk to Keith in Edmonds County and he just lets it go, like, so the last week in December, whatever, he puts on his January payroll. I'm gonna do some more checking into that, cause I like to keep things in the same year.
It should
But-
wash with your budgets, I mean, cause you're gonna have.
It will
yeah,
wash in the end, yes, but.
Yeah,
Becky, like with the Aflac thing, will that come out once a month or will that be split, all of
It'll
that
all
will be split?
Yep,
Longevity too, right, you're splitting that,
yes,
or did you change your mind on that?
no, it'll be
Okay.
split.
and then vacation's just gonna be calculated once a
Once a
month.
month.
Okay, vacation sick.
And that actually will be the second pay period of the following month, right?
It'll be calculated then, but we will be taking away for
Yeah.
the
Let's
pay
use-
periods, but the actual calculation will be done once a month.
Yeah, okay.
Any other discussion on this?
Thank you, Becky.
Yep.
Okay, let's go to number 14, old business.
You guys should all go upstairs and look at the courtroom. They did a very nice job. I think it's pretty much all done. I think Leah finished painting. It looks, you should look, it looks very, very nice. It's,
Did you check to see whether the insurance claim was open?
I talked to them, they said their initial response to me was that they denied it because it was caused by infiltration over several instances, and that isn't covered. If it was one big event, then apparently they would have covered under our policy document, but since it was multiple events, which, talking to Leah, it sounded like it kinda was, because when they put those outside gutters on, they had the boot on wrong, so there was multiple instances of seepage over the course of time. But, you know, if that's something that we wanna press the matter on and fight, I'm sure me and Jamie and Becky can
I
come up with
think,
something.
if I recall, I think that the major event did occur in 2010. And that's when you had water running down here. And there were subsequent incidents. But the major damage was done at that first time, and it wasn't repaired, so in my opinion, they should cover this loss. And if you push them, they will. Because
Ryan and I worked on
there's
it.
no reason why they should not. They should cover it.
But yeah, that was the response I got from them, so. We can,
You can accept it or you can challenge it, and I
Yeah.
would say that they will lose.
We'll press ahead with that then. But it does look beautiful up there. If you haven't looked, you should stop up.
But all that damage was a result of that first incident. And there was an insurance claim in 2010, I know there was.
yeah, they said there was.
They did pay
said there
something in
was a-
2010.
They did, but they would never fix this. And the reason they did is because we didn't know whether we had this is a little bit before my time, but I did get involved in that rough situation. And they did pay. For that. And they will. If you push them, they will pay that. I don't know what it costs.
I don't think
Now, Ryan and I'll work on that then.
But I would start by submitting the claim.
So we haven't ever submitted a claim, or we did and they just
There
never
was a
acted
claim
on it?
open.
There is a claim.
And they just never acted on it, or they sent us a denial and we didn't do anything, or?
My position would be that now that we've got it fixed.
Sure.
We know what it is, the roof isn't leaking anymore, so that breach has been fixed. Now we know what the damage is and what it cost, here's our bill.
We'll have to
Let
have
them
the,
deny it.
we'll have to have, well, you and I can talk offline. We'll work on that, yes.
That's fine, yep.
Cause that's gonna have to get separated out from the rest.
That's, I was just gonna say, is we're gonna have to separate, have them separate the bill as far as replacing the warped floor and redoing that versus redoing the whole thing. Yeah, we'll just have them break that out, make sure they do that when they haven't billed us yet, have they? No.
Nope.
So we'll just have them break it out into two claims. One for repairing the damage and one for redoing the whole floor. So, okay, Ryan, I'll work on that then.
Any other old business?
Molstead, we're gonna be out there on the 15th. Game Fish and Parks will be there. Penny's bringing equipment over. We're gonna get started on that. We'll see what we get done and what needs to get done after that. So we'll be out there at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Do you need a post hole digger or something, put that guardrail in or anything?
Not yet, that won't be done on the 15th.
Oh, like I say, we could sure bring one up and do that.
We're gonna measure it to see how much we're gonna put in. But even this last insurance deal that we got, that really helps us out with our liability issue out there. As long as it's designated for outdoor recreational use, then our liability is damn or nothing.
Somebody told me, I don't remember who said, they got some big rocks around there too that could be set along there, kind of a barrier for that, so.
It depends what we do with that bathhouse.
Yeah, but she's busy about that. So I didn't think it looked all that bad, maybe just new roof. The rafters, I didn't crawl up there, but down below looked good. It just,
Those walls are gonna, there's huge cracks in those walls.
There's huge cracks in the armory too. That's what I'm just getting at. New building.
Those cracks have been there for years.
if you go out to the thrashing deal at Cold Springs, they could cut you a new set of shingles for that. They got a old saw deal that cuts the old wood shingles. That was pretty neat. I walked out there the other day, it was pretty neat.
We just need to make a decision on whether it's a safety concern or not, is basically the big thing.
Well, you just gonna determine that then?
Yeah. Once we get out there.
Any other old business? New business?
Leo Rookie stopped in my office last week, and there's a software program that most counties have for their veteran service officers. And they would like him, the state would like him to get the program. He said that initial cost would be about $800 and then approximately $400 per year. It gives them a lot more access to everything, and so that's something to think about. His budget isn't big enough for that, ever. This year he did need a new computer, so he's obviously already overspent his supplies, but he said only about 6 counties don't have it.
He should have let us know before the budget. So he could have.
Well, he just came back from his conference last week, so. I mean, there's always the option of doing a supplement if he does get the program.
Well, I don't know if they need it, I mean, it's just, what are you gonna do? I mean,
I would have no idea what he does, know nothing about the office or anything.
He works with over 800 vets.
What?
He works with over 800 veterans. And, you know, we might not think that's very important, but he contacts every one of them a year, calls them and stuff like that, and to try and keep up with their programs and stuff. You know, I hate to say, let's not spend the money for something like that.
Well, I'm not saying that, I just said I don't know what he does.
Yeah, I would like to have him come and explain it to us. I think that would be a good idea, you know, and explain what he does.
so we can get a hold and set it up for the next meeting.
I think that'd be great.
And like I said, for $800, you know, we can always do a budget supplement for that amount.
I talk to him every once in a while. I think he's doing a good job for our vets, and I hate to see us not do something for our vets.
We'll just have them come to the next meeting and explain it, I guess. Any other new business? I guess, Jamie, I got one question for you. That new deal that's going on right now, down south of Selby? With the section line?
Oh, yes. Yep, which one?
I think you should,
Basically, the big thing is we're having some, all people who own property that adjoin a section line, is that section line belongs to Walworth County. And over the years, and then Penny will attest to this, very few of those section line roads have ever been vacated. They're almost all on the books, and even though we as a county don't maintain all of them, there's still a platted section line road that belongs to Walworth County. And people who adjoin that land, and Penny will attest, right, Penny? People need to understand that there's 66 feet in there that belong to Walworth County along every section line, and correct me if I'm wrong, on all four sides of that section unless it's been vacated, and very few section lines have been vacated in this county, very few. And so they need to understand that even though over the years, they may have been farming right up in to the middle of that section, they're basically farming 33 feet that belongs to Walworth County. And if somebody happens to drive down that 66 feet and runs over their crops, that's part of you encroaching into our county property, because all of those roads are open also. If you put a fence inside that section line, you're wrong. If it's never been vacated, and again, very few have never been vacated. If you have a fence in the middle of a section line, I've already got one that we have to provide notice, or have provided notice to, that they're wrong, that they need to remove that. Technically, if you have a section line and you have cattle on both sides, there should be two fences. Because that section line road is still open, and people can use that, even though it may have never been used for 50 years, you as a resident of the state or whatever can drive down there. Because it belongs, and a lot of them are like this because of time and things like that, but if it has not been vacated, it is still there, and people need to understand that it does not belong to them, it belongs to the county. And we have just, I mean, financially, it's not feasible to maintain every section line road, but they are still there, and people need to understand that. Is that kind of what you're discussing?
Yes, and doesn't it, I've said this, I even said it to Penny, what, a year ago, 2 years ago, even about the property lines in the ditches.
Yep.
I think and right now, this is a prime example, it's getting out of hand is the only word to say. The people that are farming the section lines, somehow it needs to stop.
Well, and I think the best thing is, like, we're video broadcasting this. If you have a complaint, you need to forward it through either my office or the sheriff's office, and the sheriff's office will forward it on to me, and we'll provide notice that you need to address where you're farming or whatever, because it's in the county right of way or on county land or whatever. Also, if you, you can't block it with a fence either. If I'm driving down a section line and there's a fence going across it, that's gotta be made accessible for me to go through, or have a cattle guard. And a lot of times you'll go down a section line road and there's a fence across, and that too is also not.
It's gotta be gated.
Yep, gotta be gated, or a cattle guard is good too. I just did some research on that. And they have to let the county know that they're putting in a cattle guard, not a fence, which of course most people don't do either, but if the only way that we will know all of this is if the public tells us, unless you want us to go around every section line, but people need to understand we can't afford to maintain every section line road, but they are still there unless they've been vacated.
Can be gated, not padlocked.
Yep. But it's gotta be allowed to have access
Yeah.
for the average person to go through, and you're not supposed to farm in there, so if somebody drives over it, it should have been farmed in anyhow.
And what do you do when there's trespassing signs, no trespassing, you
Then
will be shot?
Then we need to know, and we will address it. And that's the only way I'm gonna find out is because we're coming on hunting season and that comes into a problem, but we need to be given notice because we don't know. But if you have problems like that, no trespassing on a section line road, let the sheriff's office or my office know, and we will address it with the property owners.
But you know, one of the complaints that I've had over it, and I guess I had never thought about it, but it makes sense. Who I've heard it from is firefighters. When they got a fire out here and they come up to that so-called section line and there they see a field, they don't know if they can go down that. So I mean, I think it's very
Yep.
wrong of what the landowners are doing. They should not be doing that.
And basically, it's just over time, and people tend to say, well, I've been doing it this way for X amount of years, I'm gonna continue to do it, but we have to make changes, you're right. Or if there's a fence that's locked across the section line for the rural fire department or whatever, plus
They
it's,
just cut it.
yep,
But tell me this, Jamie. maybe you don't know it. Now tell, if let's say that, right where we're talking about, that supposedly always looked like there was a section line there. Now, let's say that it's off 10 feet either way. After X amount of years, that really does not matter any longer, am I correct? What
It's-
I'm saying
Is
is,
even if
that was,
if it's curvy,
right,
that section line, the way it was originally done is this section line. It is not developed into a shift 10 feet this way and then shift 10, it is where it's originally platted when they did this 100 and some years ago. And it, just sometimes you have to go around rocks or water or whatever. That's an agreement between the landowners that drive down it. You're supposed to drive down that 66-foot straight right away.
but what I'm getting at too is, let's just say, I got property in town here, and that this is what I found out over the time, that I know when my dad bought it, this fence was always in there. And then that's what I found out is, if that fence has been there where the property owners, whoever done it years ago said, this is the property line, that after, I think it's 22 years,
Yeah, that's adverse possession, but on that one, it's gotta be open and notorious. But the other thing is we're a governmental entity, which doesn't always necessarily, and this is off the top of my head, does not always apply to governments on the adverse possession, but on yours where if, cause it's gotta be called open and notorious, where I'm saying that this is where my property line is and you know about it, and then after the time for adverse possession, then yeah, I can make a claim on, that is now the new property line, you are correct. But as far as the county's concerned,
The next question that will come up is, then why do we have to pay taxes on the entire quarter? And they do, they pay taxes on 160 acres, they each have 33 feet off either side, that's just how it is. They're still gonna pay taxes on 160 acres, even though 33 feet on all four sides is public access.
yes.
And also for title insurance, if they got title insurance, there should be an exception on there that says subject to statutory section line right away. So it's right on their insurance binder. So
Yeah, I
if they have a
forgot about that,
question,
you're right.
yeah, so if they have a question, it should be on
yep. It's just people have just over the years, I'm just gonna run my planter a little bit farther, or, and all of a sudden then you get into, well, I'm not farming the section line, but Scott Schilling is, and that's not fair, and you're right, but you need to report that to us, and we will address it. I
Well,
don't
the
think
state did this, what, the last 2 years, 3 years that they've moved forward on it. Or they've moved a lot of the property back where it's supposed to be.
Yep.
Any other new business?
I'm just gonna mention that you guys' rooms are at the Sheridan. Sunday, the reserve, Sunday night and Monday night. So you can check in. I did put them on the county credit card, but they will still request a card from you just for liability and room service and things like that, just to have on file. They will not charge your card unless you destroy your room or something. So,
Becky, we're not gonna have to.
On the south side.
the Sheridan is,
Is that in the north side, as you come in on I-29?
I'm not really
In
familiar.
Sioux
By the
Falls,
airport,
right?
yeah.
It's on the east side.
Take the Russell Street exit,
You take
it's
Russell
right
Street
next to the
exit.
old arena.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not-
Yeah, it's on Russell, isn't it?
It's on the west, northwest,
Yep.
northwest street,
Yeah, you see
but
it
you
right-
take
it's
the
right next to
Russell
the
Street
arena.
exit.
I just stayed there last night.
Yeah.
It's a nice hotel.
And we're not gonna need the card, right? That's gonna,
Nope,
we're
I already
not
asked
gonna
them, that's
say-
why I did the pre-authorization on the card.
Okay,
So it's already gonna be charged to the card, but they are gonna request a card
That's
from each of you for them other reasons, because the only thing that I authorized was the room and tax.
yeah. Okay. Cool.
Anything else? Not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion, and a second? Kevin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passed.